Welcome to the Lonesome Crowded Cast, the Modest Mouse fan community podcast hosted by DJ Middleway, Harley J. Back again with a very special episode, one of our first video interviews, because we got to do a visual element for this very special topic, interviewing this very special person. We have on the pod today Murphy Phelan, who is a PNW-based artist who has collaborated with Isaac Brock and Modest Mouse on various projects throughout the years, including the Ice Cream Party website's art, the t-shirts as well, the album art on the newest album, An Eraser in a Maze, and more projects you may be surprised to hear about the origins of. He's a master of geometric and graphic design, a wizard of the color wheel. Please give it up for my special guest, Murphy Phelan.
Thanks, Harley.
Thank you for coming on the pod. How are you doing today, Murphy?
I'm great. Everyone around me is sick, and I'm avoiding it so far. So.
Oh, big mood. Oh, man. I was just talking to one of my favorite bands from Australia that I saw recently about band merch, but it's face masks. So when you go to concerts, you can wear the merch, but also not get sick at the same time.
It's kind of brilliant. What band is that?
Oh, this was Dust from Newcastle, Australia.
Oh, I don't have to listen to them. There's so much good stuff in Australia right now, and Ireland as well.
Ooh.
So much good stuff coming out of it. Yeah.
Another Irish band I ran into recently on their tour to Austin was the band Doug. Just D-U-G. Pretty good. It turns out the banjo player on that band was inspired by Satin in a Coffin when Isaac put that album out with Good News for People Who Love Bad News.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, speaking of, this is a Modest Mouse podcast, so how'd you find out about Modest Mouse? What's your origin story like in terms of connections with the band there?
Well, I mean, I still remember, as a kid, I'm an old man now, but as a kid, I was a huge fan. I only got to see them a couple times, but I grew up in Shreveport, Louisiana, which is kind of...
You're right next door to me, except
where are you?
State-wise, I'm in Austin, Texas.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so not far at all.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up there. Thankfully, I left there. But I remember the first time I heard Modest Mouse was there. My buddies, Matt and Joe, were living in a house, and it's kind of place where I lived with my parents at the time, and I would go to their house every night to hang out until late. And they were vinyl collectors and still are. And at some point, I think they got Lonesome Crowded West and maybe Fruit That Ate Itself and The Blue One, Long Drive, and they had a Built to Spill record, and they were really into Drive Like Jehu and all. So that night it was like record after record after record, and I remember, that was the first time I heard Lonesome Crowded West, and I was like, what is this? So.
How would you have described that noise when you were hearing it for the first time? What is this? What was that to you?
I think because I think the main thing that stuck with me was that I was listening to how unique Isaac's voice is and the words he was saying. I think I heard, like everybody, I think that one of the first ones that stuck with me was Cowboy Dan and some of those first few songs, and I remember kind of also because we were listening to all those other records that same night, Lonesome Crowded West just seemed to have this up down. It has lots of ins and outs, and it just kept my attention so long that it was, I feel like every other fan, where it's not something that you just listen to once and put down. You're kind of hooked on it immediately. And that was kind of the feeling that day.
Wow,
for sure.
It's got some amazing pacing. Unlike most drives that are long with nothing to think about, it kind of carries you through those experiences. This is a long drive, and that's the album to take you through it.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Absolutely.
So Murphy, now that we know a little bit about you as origins as a fan, and that's also really cool that you've kind of ascended to this point. TV Tropes calls it an ascended fan. Who would have thought your friends would have been like, oh yeah, Murphy's gonna work album art for this band in the future. That's pretty
Oh,
cool.
I still don't. It's still weird. I still wake up almost every day and go, "What? Are you sure? Like, or really? Like, cause I don't know. Yeah, it's strange for
were
sure.
were you doing art back then?
I was. Um, I used to paint when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a lot of Bob Ross. I was a really fun kid.
Ooh,
No, I watched a lot of Bob Ross. No shit, you not. And
I
I
love
used to
that.
just try to copy Bob Ross all the time. But, but yeah, little by little, I did visual art and I played
Mm-hmm.
music when I was a kid and into my 20s and stuff. And I kind of forgot about art for a long time. And I used to live in San Diego. When I left San Diego and came to Portland, where I am now, I kind of had a thing where it was like, what am I going to do with my life? And my partner at the time was just like,
Mm-hmm.
you ever heard of graphic design? And I was like, I don't know what that is. And it's like, it's you make the little banner ads that go on the on your computer. And I was like, oh, that's it. I can do that. That's easy, which
Mm.
is that's not what it is. But so I went to school, and then in school, I realized I went to Portland State here, and I everyone was either doing like design or magazine layout or whatever, and then there were all these other people who were like, "Oh, I'm an illustrator. I'm an illustrator. I'm an illustrator." And I'm like, "I don't know what do you mean? What is that?" And they were like, "Well, it's like books and it's comics and whatever, but it's also like you can just there's a million things." And I had no idea, so it kind of just became a direction that I got really infatuated with. And then in my first design job, I was really lucky enough that the two bosses that I had at the time really just kind of let me draw stuff. They were like, "Oh, that's what you want to do? Okay, sure, go ahead." And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And they
Mm-hmm.
were generous enough and kind enough to just let me do that. And that's kind of in a big way how this all happened. So yeah.
The best way to make a creative fire burn is by giving it the fuel and space it needs to burn, right?
Right. Yeah. And you have to be lucky enough to meet generous people sometimes when I'm not like an alpha personality who's going to go out there and be assertive and go get everything that I want. And sometimes I'm dependent upon a lot of luck.
Mm.
And that's the big thing when you run into people who are just like, you know, what is it you want to do? And then they're like, oh, here, and they lay it out for you. Yeah, it's crazy. It just
That
happens.
I mean, we're talking about luck and everything like that. In terms of how you ended up working with Isaac, I know a lot of people have been asking that. Jeff the Sea Monkey asks, how did you and Isaac come to know each other and start working with each other?
That was also pure luck. I got a job here with a small design studio, and at one point there was about five of us in this office. We got a new office in a building kind of close to the river in Portland, and we were doing some work for the restaurant that was below us. It was a restaurant called Bunk Sandwiches,
Mm.
and one of the owners of Bunk was, I might get this wrong, I feel like was maybe roommates with Isaac at one point. Either way, they were friends, and him and Isaac were opening a bar together here, and so they
Oh,
opened a bar called Poison's Rainbow.
it all
And
comes back to Poison's Rainbow.
and we were doing some work for Poison's Rainbow, and that's the point where it's pure luck, where
Mm-hmm.
my bosses could have said, "Oh my God, we have this job. I'm going to do it. Like I'm taking everything. I'm going to do it." Or they could have given it to somebody else in the office, but instead they were like, "Hey Murphy, you're going to draw some stuff for Isaac for his bar." And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know if I can do that.
Right.
uh, but sure, I'll try it. And from there, I mean, there's stuff that I did for Poisoned Rainbow that we're still using today.
Yeah, the tour posters, namely,
Yeah,
has those snakes on them. The pot
yeah,
spotted pink snake and the constellation snake.
yeah,
Those have been part of the tour posters recently, and
yeah.
I'm a huge fan of them.
Thank
How
you.
did that art come resurrected for the 2026 tour posters?
They are, I mean, I guess Isaac really, really liked them and just kept wanting to use them for something because they got used. They were originally signs that I painted, so kind of
Mm-hmm.
like maybe 4 foot tall signs on big pieces of metal that we hung outside, or somebody hung outside the bar. And so there was, I think, four of them, and they were all double sided. So there's maybe like six different snakes or eight different snakes or something.
Right. Um,
And
I
they got taken down, and I think that he's just still kind of want to put them to use somehow.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
would want to as well. Those snakes are awesome.
yeah, thank you.
We are probably going to put something on screen in editing, but I'm scrolling through your magnificent portfolio on Instagram. This is Murphy Phelan, Murphy Phelan.
You
Um,
can say both.
whatever helps you find it on
Yeah.
Instagram. But if you go back all the way to 2019, and you keep scrolling down, and I can use my mouse, not the touchpad. um, or your phone. People use a lot of technology these days to make their art. But while I'm looking for it, what sort of mediums do you mostly work in for your art?
um, I am maybe 85, 90% on an iPad now. When I first
Mm,
started, we used to work, like I said, I worked at an office, and we had this massive, like air hockey size light table,
wow.
and it was just like an upside down lamp. And we used to draw something and then get a pad of tracing paper, put that over it, refine it, do another pad of tracing paper, refine it, and keep going and going. And then eventually scan whatever it was
Mm-hmm.
that I liked, that I was done with, into Photoshop and color it in Photoshop or color it in Illustrator. And then at some point I got a Christmas bonus, and I was like, fuck it, I'm buying an iPad. And it just eliminated all that tracing paper and just kind of opened up a whole new world for me as far as like producing things quickly. And pretty much everything needs to be digital these days anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just in even if it's going to eventually be in print, you need to send things to someone digitally, and you need to know how to do that. So using an iPad and drawing and like Procreate and stuff like that, it just kind of it just streamlines things really fast for me, because being a freelancer, I don't have time to just like sit around and go get art supplies and do all these things and blah 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 blah
Mm-hmm.
blah and scan things and have a scanner and have a printer and all that stuff, when you can just put it all together. I do a little bit of painting. I do some murals and stuff too.
Wow.
I just, if you get bored, you try something. I tried mosaics for a while. I have some pretty strong uh, ADHD type of things where
Mm-hmm.
I like to learn something, and then once I figure out the puzzle, I just drop it. Like a
Mm.
year ago, I was like, I'm gonna do a bazillion mosaics and just freaking mosaic everything with tile and whatever. And I did one and was like, okay, I understand.
The mosaic
Or
stuff that you have on Instagram is very good. It's like kind of blocky, and also some of your art is has that like kind of multifaceted, multi-picture sort of style to
mm,
it.
yeah.
Collagey, right?
Mhm. A
Mm.
little bit, yeah, yeah. I was always a really big fan of the idea. I'm not going to say I read a lot of William S. Burroughs books, but I
Mm-hmm.
really liked the idea of cut up, of writing. And have you ever heard of cut ups?
Kind of.
Uh, he
Explain a little bit more for the audience.
he would say, like, type out a page, just free flowing thoughts, and then this is back in the days with typewriters, and then he would cut the page into a bunch of pieces, rearrange it, and
Mm-hmm.
then rewrite it. And I've always found that really interesting to do with drawing. So sometimes I'll draw something, and you kind of get stuck and you're like, this is cool, but it's not going anywhere. But if you start cut it in half and drag half of it over here and then see what you can add between and then cut all that in half and move it all around, you start ending up with something that maybe, doesn't look anything like what you started with and maybe has no point or
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean anything or whatever, but it's just all about like really me entertaining myself. So I don't even know what the question was, but yeah, that's
Your own
that's a lot.
exquisite corpse, as they say.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And taking it back to Poison's Rainbow, look how far the Poison's Rainbow snake sign has come. How do you feel about your work being animated now
Um,
in that
it's
visualizer for Look How Far?
it's kind of cool. That kind of happened pretty fast.
Hmm.
And so I've seen it maybe twice, but it's kind of cool. It's kind of something I've always wanted to see and try. It got me interested in learning how to animate some stuff myself. So I don't know, maybe that's something I can learn
We would love to
next.
see that,
Yeah,
yes. Especially like seeing this little snail like scoot
yeah,
along, kind of like
totally.
a Howl's Moving Castle style, like, um, but ice cream parties going through Portland, picking up all the little tchotchkes that Isaac Brock can find, huh? Speaking of this, we're talking about the ice cream party shirt for a second. We're gonna bounce around a lot, but hey, we love that about your art too. The how did this come to be the ice cream party shirt?
I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to
Mm-hmm.
Isaac on that. Isaac has a lot of times he just has an idea,
Mm-hmm.
and he it's not fully fleshed out, but he just wants to like put an idea in front of me and see what I do with it, I guess is
Mm.
fair to say. And with that one, he had a book of a German artist, I think, yeah, German named Fritz Kahn,
Mm.
who used to draw these like kind of was the first person to really do infographics. Um,
Oh.
Maybe in the 30s or 40s. I might be getting that wrong, but Fritz Kahn drew like one of the most famous ones you'll see is kind of a someone's torso and their head cocked sideways and they're kind of cut in half and it's this basically the human body turned into a factory to explain science and there's
Oh.
little colored balls going through his lungs and his throat and stuff and there's people in there and there's all kind of stuff so um, the idea was kind of to we I think we did a couple different not just a snail but we did like a penguin and
Mm-hmm.
something else where I kind of went around the ice cream party studio and my daughter at the time was maybe 10
Mm-hmm.
and that was her first little I told her I was like this is your first little job and I gave her a old camera like a real camera and she just walked around the studio and just like photographed everything and I used some of her stuff that she captured because she's 4 feet tall
Right.
and she's looking at things that I wasn't looking at because I'm looking at all the things I'm interested in and there's a lot of stuff in that studio and a lot of really cool stuff there's just something to look at on every 6 inches you move. So it was kind of the idea was just to like capture some
Mm-hmm.
things that are real from there and some things that are not real that are in there and just make a cool image, you know?
I'll have to ask Isaac or whoever does ice cream party stuff. Those little photographs that your daughter took may have been sent out to the fans as part of like the first round of like giveaways for joining the ice cream party. There's
Oh,
some
I don't know. I
Polaroids
don't think I ever,
taken.
and that might be one of his because I don't think I
Okay.
shared with him anything she took, but I just used her photography to look at just as like
Hmm. I
what do
bet
you
they're
call it?
good photographs though. If you ever want to
They're
share
pretty, the
those.
ones that aren't blurry, the ones that aren't like moving like this are pretty good. But
Excellent.
she did see some things that I didn't see. There's like lots of little dolls here and there,
Mm-hmm.
or there's some really cool crystals and stuff that I would, my attention it is goes so fast that I can't sit and just focus on something. And she has a little better time
Mm.
just going, oh, that's cool, and focusing, and so. Yeah, it
What a
was
great
cool.
collaborator, honestly. How
And
is it
I
being
paid
a
her. I
mm,
paid her. I paid her $20 too.
absolutely
Yep.
pay your artists for sure. I'll have more questions about that soon, considering. Now that we're on the topic of your kids, how's it being a dad and being an artist?
um, it's pretty great. I think I feel like a lot of responsibility in showing my kids that you can kind of not give up on something just because everyone around you tells you it's not a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
and you can make it work. I can remember as far back as high school telling guidance counselors and people what I wanted to do, and people just being like, "Yeah, but what are you going to do though? What are you going to do to make money? What are you going to that kind of thing?" So I feel proud in being an example to them that I don't make a lot of money, but I still I support myself. Um, but on the flip side of that, it is hard because a lot of times you're like, I feel like every job I get, and I think a lot of illustrators and a lot of freelance people feel like this too, but
Mm.
I feel like every job that I get, there's a little voice that's like, that's the last one. You like, enjoy this. That's the last time you're ever getting hired.
Mm-hmm.
Cause you don't know. Cause when you have a job, your bosses are worrying about that. And they're like, okay, we got these jobs, we're paying these employees. But I'm sure you understand this. You're like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
God, like what's coming next? So you think everything is the last thing. So
Absolutely.
when you have people that depend on you for food and for whatever,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, it's a little bit like a little stressful. Yeah.
But you make it work, and hopefully this work that you did on the new album and everything else you've been doing for Modest Mouse is a good exposure for getting you hired for more stuff. um,
Oh,
Crossing my fingers for sure. And speaking of the new album, you're the artist behind the eighth Modest Mouse studio album, which is a prolific thing already. Historically speaking, we'll be talking about your arts for decades and centuries to come. How closely did you and Isaac work on the album together? Since you mentioned he kind of gives you concepts of an idea, then you kind of elaborate on that further.
um, pretty freaking closely.
Mm-hmm.
He came to me. Uh, let's see, maybe 2 years ago, and said he had an image that I think you can probably see it on their like the pre-order website now, but the
Mm-hmm.
back of the record um, was the first thing he came to me with. I had drawn an illustration on the back. Yep, that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I had drawn that just for fun for myself and posted it. And he was like, "What is this? What are you doing with this?" It's just a drawing. He's like,
Oh,
I
to
think,
describe the drawing, it's the fingers walking down the staircase on the back of the
yep,
album.
exactly. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we were playing with the idea of that being the cover for like a little bit, and just trying to kind of think of he's the type of person where he's like, this is cool. Uh, what else can you do kind of with this feeling? Just kind of draw some stuff and come back to me. And so for about a year, I was kind of just drawing on my own and
Mm-hmm.
sending him stuff. And then we'd sit down and talk about it. And then he would shoot some other, like the name of the record and the other possible names of the record and stuff to me, and kind of just see what I would, I guess, see like what that made me think of, and just keep drawing stuff.
Right.
So I must have, there's in the 20s of drawings that were finished that I showed him that
Wow.
I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but if you have a record player, if you're a vinyl collector, get the vinyl, because you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
6, 7 different pieces of art instead of just the cover. There's a lot of stuff in there that you
Wow.
can't see. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. It's cool.
Do you know? Oh, I don't want to like break embargo on this because I'm curious about what's inside, and you can only see little slivers and peaks. And maybe we will save that for the album review. But do you have like a hand in the graphic design of like the lyric pages on the?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, everything. So all the layout, I did all the layout and stuff. But I have to say that the idea, the concept of it, after all the
Mm-hmm.
drawings were there, is really Isaac's. It's his
Mm-hmm.
great idea of. Um, I can't give away all of it, but I will tell you that there's a kind of a light and dark
Mm-hmm.
thing. And that's the energy I felt from all the music. There's kind of a lightness and a darkness, a lightness and a darkness. There's an up and down to it, and you really get that visually. There's a by darkness, I mean black and white, lack of
Mm-hmm.
color, and then there's color. And so there's a give and take of color and lack of color visually on it that you'll eventually get, which is really cool.
So beautiful. I'm already very much taking the concept.
Cool.
That's kind of sonically felt with the music in terms of how it relates to the lyrics as well. The song that we've gotten so far that we have heard the studio version of being Picking Dragon's Pockets has this rich and dark tapestry to it lyrically while sounding a bit more like a chiptune fantasy video game adventure in comparison to most of Modest Mouse's discography.
Yeah.
When it comes to how the artwork relates sonically to the album, what relationship do you say that you have with that, the music and the art?
I would say that the really Isaac would kind of show me, he would present me with what he liked that I was doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of had no doubt that that was related to the feeling in the
Mm-hmm.
music before I heard it. There's a
Okay.
lot of the stuff I drew before I heard. I'd only
Oh,
heard like one song, two songs.
okay.
Um,
Can you share which songs those were? If those
I had heard the two acoustic ones, song 2 and 4.
Remember Yourself has been performed live, and so
Nope.
has Third Side of the Moon.
Yeah, those two.
So,
Yeah, I
yes.
had heard those a while back,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think that it really drove me in any certain direction, but it
Mm-hmm.
just, there's a feeling that you just kind of stick with if you're lucky enough to get into like a if you're lucky enough to fall into a pocket and not
Oh.
have any interruptions from the outside world, you kind of
Mm-hmm.
get stuck in a flow and a feeling, and which I would say is kind of difficult to maintain over like a year. So
Mm-hmm.
if at any point all of the artwork that I did kind of is looked at in any way, you can see how it all changes, and then how in the end it's kind of all brought back together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how the fuck that happened. It was miraculous.
Has this beautiful physics theory that is described in the promo description for the album is that the past, present, and future all exist coalescently at the same time.
Oh wow, that's
That's what's on
pretty.
the website or
That's
something.
pretty. Wow.
That's directly related to your art and the feeling that we kind of have from seeing your art and in terms of how it relates to the album whenever we're looking at something while we're listening to it. So thank you so much
That's
for all
so
the
cool.
art that you've done for this so far.
Oh,
Um,
my pleasure.
I want to ask about Third Side of the Moon because the lyrics are very heavy on like eyes that Isaac can't remember being whatever
Mhm,
color that he's trying to recollect. And the front of the album, we see a ring of eyes around the album
mhm.
that are black and white. And the inner sleeve, there's a little peek we can see of it where they're different colors, which
Yeah.
touching on that duality, very beautiful, very sweet. So, did the Third Side of the Moon have that sort of presence lyrically in the direction that was taken with the art?
I mean, honestly, you bringing it up right now, you're kind of blowing my mind. I hadn't connected that yet, so that's pretty cool.
Well,
No, it had no. It was just me trying to keep myself interested in
mm-hmm,
like doing something with color, and
mm-hmm,
I'm kind of relating. I mean, to be completely honest, all of the eyes on the front
mm-hmm.
and on the back illustration, you'll see there's a little box
The
of eyes
eyes
at the
with the
bottom.
mm-hmm, with the
I'm
stuff coming
trying
out
to
of it.
keep all of that connected. So throughout all of the artwork. There's eyes, there's moons,
Mm-hmm.
there's snakes, which go all the way back to Poisoned Rainbow. There's
Mm-hmm.
um, moths. There's a lot of different things, and then there's like a for me, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but for me, I think the thing I was focusing on the most was kind of connections between natural
Mm-hmm.
things from millennia back, way,
Mm-hmm.
way, way back, that are connected to unnatural, man-made things that are changing even as we speak, and things that are morphing and becoming a mix of natural and unnatural. And at what point does unnatural stuff become natural? Because if you really like all of the things that we think about as humans that we've made, we always consider that to be, well, that's not a natural thing from the earth. But then where did it come from? It all actually is. If you break it all down, everything is plastic, everything,
Mm-hmm.
wires, wiring. You know, I spent a lot of time focusing on, or not focusing on, but I was really, really blown away by the idea that in Libya, there's a layer of glass underneath the sand that will actually crack because at some point it was hit by a meteor or a comet or lightning or something, and it just blasted the entire desert into glass. And one of the Egyptian, uh, what do you call them, the kings from back in the day, had like a Libyan glass necklace that was from that, like,
Mm-hmm.
that thing.
Wow.
Um, Everything comes from here in a
Mm-hmm.
way, and it's just I that's kind of me just meandering with that, drawing wise.
Beautiful.
So a lot of the connections that other people are going to make, it's interesting to me to hear what connections people make,
Mm-hmm.
because that's cool too. It's rad.
Absolutely. This might sound a little bit more out of left field in terms of interpretation. But are you aware of Gnosticism?
I know the word.
Right. It's like the an indigenous like mix of the spiritual religion of the Middle East with Christianity. Um, a lot of stuff involved with it. I recommend looking it up, listeners, so I can give you the short version of what I'm interpreting from the snake on the album cover. Do you know about Yaldabaoth?
Mm-mm.
Okay, Yaldabaoth is a false god that's depicted as a snake with its son as a head.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah. So
Can you spell that? Can I
Uh,
write this down?
yes, I will. Will flash it on screen for the viewers. But let me read it out to you. It's Gnostic is Gnostic, but Yaldabaoth is Yaldabaoth. If
Awesome.
you're a fan of RPGs, particularly like Persona 5 viewers out there, Yaldabaoth is like the big villain that's manipulating the world and making people live under this false reality.
Rad.
Which if we're talking about like Yaldabaoth as like if it is Yaldabaoth at the front and center of this album, it's like when your duality talk we're speaking of, we're having like this experience of like what is the real world versus what is the false world, but is it all the same? Question mark. It's
Huh.
things to consider.
Sure.
And yeah, I'm very fascinated about like how this all connects into the rest of the album and the lyrics and the songs as well. We only have two released on streaming, but we've gotten Remember Yourself, Dog Bed in Heaven, um, Look How Far,
Mhm.
and Third Side of the Moon. So take what you will from those lyrics and see what you can come up with, bands. And
Yeah, and all of it'll be news to me. That was one of the things I was worried about coming on here. I was like, what if
mm-hmm.
what if somebody says, what does it mean? I'm like, I don't know. Again, trying to entertain myself and make
Mm-hmm.
something that I feel like Isaac likes as well.
Yeah.
And that's we meet in that place of we both feel entertained visually, and
Mm-hmm.
he feels like it connects musically, and so I feel
Isaac,
great.
he's notorious about being opaque with his authorial intent, which is for some fans very frustrating, but for the people who love the little mystery and love going in circles thinking about what is it, it's one of the most fun parts. And I feel like you have definitely had a major impact on like the fans theorizing this go around. So
Yeah, I mean that can be fun, and also
mm-hmm.
like I don't want to speak for him, but I mean
Mm-hmm.
from my side of looking at stuff, it's like what's the point? I don't I
Mm-hmm.
you know, I could tell you and you could also disagree with me. I mean that
Right.
happens, you know.
It happens all the time with artists and their works and how fans
Yeah.
interpret it. It's all a matter of perspective. Where do circles begin and end?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of, if we're talking about like alternative realities, we're talking about Poison's Well back then, and the concept that Isaac came up with um, was it came from when you see a poison rainbow in a puddle where somebody poured gasoline in it, I'm quoting
Yeah.
Isaac Brock here,
Yeah.
is snakes in a rainbow. That's the concept he originally presented.
Mhm.
But he had a few other concepts that came about. Mainly magic fucking flute. Other examples being dildo box dioramas, Trash Panda, and Golden Casket, if you know the previous album.
Mhm.
How do you imagine your kind of direction would have gone differently if one of those other names were picked?
I was really hoping he would have picked Magic Fucking Flute for the bar. Um,
So you knew
but
about those potential names.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that was always a great one. That's one of my favorite things he's ever said.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's a great title for anything, especially some place that you're gonna walk in and sit down and someone's gonna serve you a piece of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're texting people, "I'm at the Magic Fucking Flute." That'd be great.
Absolutely.
How would I have approached artwork for that? I'm glad I didn't have to. I don't know. That's like I don't kn it would have been I don't really know. I would have started, like, jamming flutes down people's throats or
Mm-hmm.
other orifices, or I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
Um, in
It
in
would have
tr-
been fun.
in tribute of that, if anyone knows how to play ocarina or flute and wants to do a cover of "Look How Far," to the pay tribute to the late Poison's Well and what could have been Magic Fucking Flute, please do so. um, and I know we were talking about the meaning of things being a little bit more up into interpretation. But
Yeah.
curious about your perspective. What does the album title "An Eraser in a Maze" mean to you?
Uh, gosh, to me, I think it always makes me think of, and this is just me. I don't really know. I have no idea what he's thinking about. I to me, it makes me think about your pathway,
Mm-hmm.
um, making mistakes. You can't really. I don't feel like you can really feel like you chose the right direction in anything until you make a mistake. You don't know if a mistake's a mistake until you do it. And then a lot of times other people think you made a mistake and you realize that's not what that was, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and so that's the eraser maybe is trying to change something you did or change your direction or whatever, and life is I have no idea, but it gets me in that zone in a
Mm-hmm.
way. Those words put together in the same parentheses are get me kind of into that headspace, at least of just thinking about like steps forward versus steps backwards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'd love to hear what the real kind of thought behind that is, but for me, that's what I think about. So
Got to
I could
add
be
to
way.
that mystery. It's what an eraser in a maze is what it is to you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. And speaking of more Modest Mouse related stuff, what other albums are you a fan of visually or sonically? Talking
From anybody?
Modest Mouse albums
Oh,
first, but
Modest Mouse.
let's definitely talk about your taste as an artist when it comes to other music too. I'm very curious about that.
I've always really loved the ones that they do photography on.
Mm-hmm.
I've still loved the cover of Strangers to Ourselves. It's
Oh,
just
l-
I'm the type of person who will look out the window of a plane for an entire 7 hour plane ride, just because it's amazing. The
mm-hmm.
patterns of that humans make, it's like, it's like looking at an ant farm or looking at how termites actually make art and they don't even know it, and
Mm-hmm.
we're just little termites. Like I just flew to Chicago, and on the way to Chicago, right outside of Chicago, maybe like an hour outside, there's all the farmland I've ever seen is rectangles or circles
Mm-hmm.
or long stripes. And there was a section of maybe Indiana, maybe I don't know where it was, but it was things were like in waves,
Whoa.
just in these like everywhere. And I'm like, what's but and it kept happening. It wasn't just one person in their land, it was the next land over and then a couple miles over this way. And it was like, it's amazing. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um yeah, I like all the photography stuff that they do a lot. I really loved how simple um, the fruit that ate itself, the just that like
Mm-hmm.
it just creates this mood already that's just kind of beautiful. So yeah,
It feels very kind of esoteric and dark in some ways. Just like looking up to this vast like waterscape, and you're just like,
yeah,
and then you hear like the lyrics on "Fruit It Ate Itself" and other songs on that. It's just like, whoa! It really takes you someplace.
totally. And I think spending like 6 months kind of basically in the dark here in Oregon, like we do, I
Mm-hmm.
started relating to that a little differently over the last 20 years. And as when I
Yeah.
was a kid in Louisiana, I didn't really that feeling doesn't really connect in Louisiana. You just connect to heat and bugs and
Mm-hmm.
racists. But uh, not all of Louisiana. Sorry, Louisiana.
I
Uh,
mean, Texas has its same similar problems. And the moment we get a little bit of rain, like we have been, everyone just gets bunkered down inside, and they
yeah,
don't see sunlight, and then they get all depressed. Which we get some Portland-esque weather like 7 days a year, but those 7 days are the worst days for people with seasonal depression.
Oof. Yeah.
I
Don't try here.
I don't know how Texans do it. They're like, I like Austin, but I'm going to go to Portland because it's potentially a little bit more weird for me. And then it's like,
Oh, it's a trip, and it doesn't
mm-hmm.
hit you the first year or two, and then after a while, you start going, "What? I gotta rethink my choices in life." Like,
Hey, you survived
but
though.
well, at the same time, that's only half of it. The other
Mm.
half is we get the most beautiful weather in the world.
Oh
So
yeah,
June to October is just I don't leave because it's incredible here. So yeah, I don't
man.
know.
50-50, take what you can get, right?
Mhm.
And in terms of oh, you were talking about the strangers to ourselves. I really want that tattooed on me at some point. The
Well, the
front.
sea looking, yeah,
Yeah, I'm like wondering like should I get it like just like the pattern of the houses, or should I go like in detail, and that makes me ask like how big it should be, where it should be
yeah,
placed, etc.
yeah.
Has anybody asked to get your art tattooed on them, and how do you feel about that, and how should they go about doing that?
I think it's an awesome idea. It's only happened once, and somebody reached out to me on Instagram, and they got. Have you ever seen the playing cards that Modest Mouse has for
Oh,
sale for a
I'm
while?
going to ask about that if they're going to get resurrected at some point, because
Yeah,
my partner really loves playing cards. She does like all sorts of shuffling tricks. But please tell me
yeah.
more.
Somebody did the one of the. I think it's one of the Jokers. Like it's almost like a bear shaped being with like a melting kind of chin with a
Mm-hmm.
window for a face, like a factory window for a face.
Wow.
And they were just like, "Do you mind if I do this?" And I was like, care. Like, that's amazing. Sure, go ahead. Like, what? Like, that's flattering. Go for it. And like a day later, he sends me a picture with his arm like covered. I'm like, that's awesome. Cool.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I you're gonna get your second offer literally right now. I want to get something from you tattooed on me somewhere. Like, I'm a huge fan, to be quite honest, and would carry this art on me forever.
That's
Um,
cool.
Thank you. Oh man, and I'm scrolling through this, and I'm already seeing the rainbow moth. That concept was posted back in 2020, October 17th, and ironically enough, that's the anniversary that posting anniversary is going to be 6 years later. They're performing in Austin. I'm going to see them, and
Oh, amazing.
yeah, that moth is on the new album as well. I'm going to show it to the fans here who can see the episode. But if you're listening to this, please watch it on YouTube or wherever else I post it. Um, and Yeah, I can see that duality, and it's like I really like that Isaac like has like this perspective of your art that is like evergreen and can be put on pretty much anywhere and any time. It's really cool that he can do that with y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
It's nice. It's nice when there's
mm-hmm,
already stuff, and it's nice to like be able to like kind of riff on something I've already done. And
mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's awesome.
definitely.
What would you want to see tattooed on someone else? Like, if you like could imagine any
Ooh,
particular art piece of yours as a tattoo.
there's on the inside sleeves
Mm-hmm.
of the record, there are two drawings that I don't have any tattoos, and I've really thought about really hard about doing these two
Oh.
somewhere, but they're kind of complicated. They're pretty complicated. So it looks to me, I'm like always thinking it as like a pain threshold thing, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
uh, but there's a lot going on these two things, but they would be really cool. So the inside sleeves have these two um, black and white images, which would be rad, that relate
Ooh.
very strongly to
You're
that blue moth. So
teasing us a little bit, man. We're gonna need to get our hands on that album as soon as June 5th. Oh my gosh, and we were talking about some of your other favorite artists that you've listened to as well. Talk about yourself a little bit more as a music fan.
oh man,
Mm-hmm.
I can kind of be like a hummingbird with music. I
Mm-hmm.
don't really have a, a I don't really have a style that I just always gravitate to. But I think as a kid, I was really like, as a teenager, I was really into Janis Joplin, and I was just like, oh my god,
Ooh, good choice.
this woman is just the greatest. Like, it kind of hit me. And then I got into in like later high school, I got in like everybody, I got into Nirvana, and Nirvana just really, was like the thing for me. And it was for everybody, but in Shreveport, Louisiana, you know, that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of all there was. There wasn't really record stores. There was just the radio, and whatever the radio was throwing at you,
Mm-hmm.
um, you were lucky to hear. And I felt so connected to Nirvana. And I remember going into a record store, and one of the kids there was a bass player in this other band, this kid named Scott. And he was like, well, if you like that, he handed me a cassette of Sunny Day Real Estate's Diary. He was like, you're going to
Oh.
like this. I was like, oh, okay. And so I bought that, got into it. Um, I've always loved everything from San Diego. Like, a huge fan of Rocket and Jehu, and Tanner was one of my favorite bands. Tanner Garwood from Hot Snakes, his band Tanner was just fucking like um, stuff from Chicago. And as life went on, I have a person in my family who's just a massively into reggae, and I learned about old reggae and was just like, this is incredible. Why have I been missing out on this because of other people's prejudices and stuff of like, oh, that's
Yeah.
just this, and it's incredible. I took a jazz class in college once, and that the professor basically for like 3 weeks, all we did was watch Ken Burns jazz. And I came out of there going, oh my God, I love jazz. And,
Wow.
uh, folk. For the longest time, I was completely stuck on a band from Austin called the Gourds. I was like, these two guys are the greatest songwriters, Jimmy and Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
greatest songwriters on the planet. Yeah, all over the place. I don't know.
You've got some good taste, and you're putting people onto a lot of good new music to them.
Well, to be fair, I have friends who have good taste because I don't. I'm the neurologically. I will pick an album and listen to that album for like a year straight and not try anything new because
Mm-hmm.
I'm worried that the new thing that people want to show me will kind of take me off of that vibe and kind of ruin the what I had a friend who gave me a CD in like 2002 and it was like
Mm-hmm.
this is called Dr. Dog. You're going to love Dr. Dog. It's right up your alley. And I was like, okay. And I promise you it was probably 2015 before I was like, oh, here's that CD that Joel gave me and I popped it in and I was like, oh my god, like this is incredible. Like what the hell is wrong with me? And so, yeah. Good friends sharing things and teaching me is my lucky break.
That's how it happens. Community makes this happen. And we wouldn't be here without the awesome fans and the awesome musicians that make it happen. So I really appreciate you talking about everything that you've been connected to in terms of your music and your art. And before we go, I wanted to ask, what are some of your other favorite clients that you've worked for outside of Modest Mouse?
Oh gosh.
Mm-hmm.
I have two outside of them, I work with a lot of smaller businesses that are just genuinely very sweet people. Like there's two coffee roasters. One is called Origin, and they're up in like Lake Saranac, New York, like Placid, and they're just the best people. And they're just it's so fun to work with people like that. Doing like coffee bags and
Mm-hmm.
just little things that just help them kind of achieve what it is they're trying to achieve. Kova, I do a lot of coffee stuff, which is crazy. There's a place called Kova here in Portland,
Mm-hmm.
Kova Coffee, and they're the same. They're just every person I interact with is just genuinely like insanely sweet and nice, and they're open to stuff. And all I'm doing is just kind of helping them
Mm-hmm.
move it along and get it out the door and kind of keep working because we're all people are struggling now, and it's kind of nice to be just a little piece of somebody else's puzzle here and there. Who else have I worked with? That's great. I'm gonna forget everybody, but
When you have a good cup of coffee, then you're definitely going to be in a good mood and a pleasant person to work with for sure. And I've seen some skateboard design that you've done. That was with Origin, and like,
oh, the McMinnville. There's a city,
mm-hmm,
not a city. It's a little town nearby called McMinnville. It's about an hour ish, like west of us or southwest of us.
mm-hmm,
And same thing. They're just a genuinely sweet group of people,
mm-hmm.
and they had me do because of the Modest Mouse cards. That led into another job where I did a deck of cards for them,
Wow.
which is actually right here. I have
I
two
really like
left.
the beaver ones from that
Yeah,
deck.
yeah, totally. They had a whole thing where it's like I
Mm-hmm,
don't know if anybody ever noticed with the Modest Mouse cards, but if you put all the suits of cards kind of like you can play like a deck of cards, but if you lay
mm-hmm.
out all the parts in a thing, it's almost like a flip book where
Right.
the illustrations change and progress all the
Mm-hmm.
way from two to ace or whatever it is. And the same concept kind of carried over into a little deck of cards for McMinnville too, which was fun to do.
That's
It's fun when
amazing.
people indulge you and let you do your weird idea.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and one last detail which I didn't notice about the new album until like I actually looked at it a little bit more intricately. But some of the digital release doesn't have it, but the physical album release has this rabbit that's wrapped into the snake, like a
Mm,
hair. Is that
yeah.
how is that going to be like on physically the album, like some sort of holographic, or
No,
how's
it's
that?
well, I don't know if I can show it to you. It's basically the album itself is the outer cover of the LP is gloss,
Mm.
and the rabbit itself, it's almost like two ends of a rabbit, and in between is this kind of galaxy of movement where you can almost feel like the rabbit turned into smoke. But the
Ooh.
rabbit itself is matte, and the rest of the album cover is gloss. So the rabbit's not really there, but when you turn it in the light, you can see it. I
Okay.
think the reason you see it so much on some of these mock-ups online is because they weren't really sure how to portray that and show it.
Right.
You know, it's not really printed there, but it's there. There's
It
an impression of it. So
it does give us the impression that it is different from some of the other copies, which is good. So people know
yeah,
what they're buying and can invest into something they really love looking at.
for
Um,
sure.
I'm really curious though because it's like it's a missing piece of your art that I hope gets shown somehow. If like the digital masterminds can figure out how to like animate like the artwork to make that rabbit like shimmer like during like any of the animated app visualizations that they do. Um,
You know, the rabbit would you were asking about tattoos. The rabbit would be a rad tattoo.
oh,
That
absolutely. I'm
was
trying.
the first one I thought about was kind of like a something, I don't know, but it would be cool.
Well,
Definitely.
Murphy, we may end up getting matching tattoos unintentionally. It's not the first time that I've gotten a matching tattoo, but funny story. I have a tattoo of the one of the titular characters from Chainsaw Man, Pochita. He's the Chainsaw Devil, tattooed right here. And the person who recommended me to the tattoo artist was like, "I really like this dog. I'm gonna get this chainsaw tattooed on me too." And I'm like, what? We're getting you don't even have you even watched Chainsaw Man? And she's like, nope, I really like I like it though.
No, but I like it. That's
Oh
cool.
my gosh. But
It's
yeah,
great.
that rabbit wrapped around. I'm trying to get all
It's like
12 zodiac animals tattooed on me. I got dog, I got rat. So we got 10 more to
that's
go.
cool. That's
Um
cool. I was still I was born in the year of the rabbit, and I only know that from eating at restaurants, and I that's kind of where I started putting rabbits on things was like, well, 1975, year of the rabbit, so
wow,
I don't
that's
know.
so cool.
There's
And
no other connection.
well, everything's coincidence or maybe not, but Harley is the old English word for a field of hares. So
Oh, really?
kind of
Wow.
bunny-esque name as well for
Yeah,
myself. I don't know
interesting.
how that worked out, but Harley Davidson, they imported a motorcycle and then I got named. Well, thank you so much for coming on the pod, Murphy.
Absolutely.
Do you have any plugs or shout outs you want to give before you head on out?
Whew, that's a lot of pressure. I have no idea. I'm gonna forget them all. I hope everybody likes the album, and
Mm-hmm.
thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Murphy, it's been a pleasure. Murphy Phelan, artist extraordinaire from the PNW, here to present to you all his amazing artwork at instagram.com/Murphy Phelan. You can check out his website, murphyphelan.com. Is it .com?
That's right.
Okay,
Yep.
murphyphelan.com. Yeah, and if you want to commission Murphy, send him an email. I certainly, if I have the budget, I probably will at some point. Considering I love your art, and I'm so
Oh,
thankful
I
to have you on the
appreciate it.
pod again.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's amazing. Thank you.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
I will. You
And
too.
we'll talk again hopefully soon. Maybe next time you put
Awesome.
out some new art for Modest Mouse.
Yeah. Beautiful.
All
Thank you,
right.
Harley.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.